toughest parts about go into this, gang? There's things that are tough. What is the most difficult thing, do you think, about being a DJ? Let's start off. James, I'm going to start with you. Go ahead.
Loading, unloading equipment, and setup and tear down.
Okay.
And dealing with like venues that don't have parking elevators, even though the client says they do, and I have a stair fee. I charge per stair. So that's
in and out gear, hauling gear. Dave, most difficult part about being a DJ?
Probably working with all the preconceived notions that people have about DJs. That's probably the one that echoes most when talking to DJs. That's probably the most difficult one that I hear people continuously going on about.
Interesting. Mitch, toughest part about being a DJ?
It ties into one of your later topics, the exit plan.
Very, very good. Very good. That'll be something that is definitely tough. As I'm looking at it today, there's the toughest part I think about being a DJ is really to take ourselves seriously, and we'll get into that in a second. Anthony, you're going to wrap us up, and then we're going to come back and talk about each one. What do you think is the toughest part for DJs today?
Dealing with cables and people. People like to unplug cables for no reason.
Dealing with cables. Okay, there's
and
our
people.
people. There we go. We've got our first round now. As Mitch, you were talking about the exit plan being an important being a struggle for people. Give us the 30 seconds. Why? Go.
Because they don't have a exit plan upon entering into the business.
Do you think that's an important thing for them to have when they come into the business, or is it something
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I do think it's an important thing to have. You need to know what your exit plan is upon entering a business. You need to know how you're going to get out, what you're going to do. And you may not know right when you get in, right? But you need to be able to develop that as you go and think about, okay, how am I going to exit this? I certainly didn't have necessarily an exit plan. I had a vision when I started Tailored Entertainment, but necessarily have the exit plan. And now I do have the exit plan. And it's something that I think I've developed over the last 5 years, an exit plan strategy.
We'll dig into that one a little bit more as you mentioned a little bit later. So I don't want to go too far into it. James, you mentioned you have got a fee that you are now charging. How many of us would charge a fee? And I don't want to pick on you. But I've had venues that I will not play because they have only stairs.
Yeah, I said that just as a joke, but honestly, I avoid places that only have stairs. Unless I could deal with like 5 stairs, an entryway or something like that. But if I have to go up like 2 flights of stairs, not taking the gig.
Yeah. I have put a surcharge on for stairs because I had to have someone come in and help shuttle gear up and down the steps. It was just one of those things. So it cost me another $150 to have somebody come in. It was part of doing business for the night, and they understood it because the venue just didn't have it. Dave, what was yours again? I'm sorry.
Dealing with the public's preconceived notions of.
There we go. I knew yours was the one I wanted to hit last because we're going to dig into this one. The preconceived notions. What kind of things would be a preconceived notion that the public has that? Let's go with just erroneous preconceived notions that the public would have. Anybody, throw them out.
That we work for whatever the time allotted for us to be at the venue, and that is all that we put in, and we're charging way too much money for those like 4 to 6 hours or 7 hours. They don't realize all the work that goes in before and after, and all the travel and loading equipment.
Others.
That we don't run a business.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Dave, what were you?
Next.
That was.
We're like the guy that goes around mowing lawns. We just do it off the cuff.
Oh, exactly. It's just a hobby.
Ready for it?
Yeah.
Button pressers.
What?
Button
pressers.
Oh, button pressers.
Yeah, anybody can do what we do.
Yeah, somebody in the chat.
Pressing buttons. I'm pressing buttons. Oh.
And I'm pressing Mitch's buttons.
And I think there's many, and not only but there's also that when you get into talking money, that I think it's something that they look at DJs and they're like, okay, you can't have that much overhead. It's not a real job. You don't have this, you don't have that. And it should be cheaper. Just because it's not, you don't have to have a storefront.
They see, my lawyer doesn't charge that much.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
That's because our job takes more talent than a lawyer's job.
Your lawyer must suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
That's the route I would
I said it
go.
out loud.
I was going to say,
No. I stand by my statement. It takes more education to become a lawyer, but more talent to do what we do.
There you go. I like that one.
I think there's definitely something there. Somebody put in the chat board that, so you must love music. You would be willing to do it for free. Well, unfortunately, there are some DJs out there who are that way, but most of us also have to eat on the side, once in a while, and feed our family and put clothes on the children. But yeah, those definitely.
Well, I mean, the hobby DJs do it for free or next to nothing. We have large investments in everything, from music, legally obtained music, to equipment, to marketing, you name it, across the board.
How about a large investment in you? This is your life.
Yeah.
I could care less about don't get me wrong, the gear is important, the music is important, yes. All those tools are required to do your job. But this is a large investment in your life.
But no, I'm the general public here, and you don't need education to do this. You're just pushing buttons. You're just playing music. Heck, my son has, for a balloon party we had in the backyard, he did that, and it was great. Why do you need to spend money on education? You must be wasting your money.
Well, it depends what kind of outcome you want. If you're okay with someone just showing up and pushing buttons at your event, then you can do that for certain events. If you want it to be done right and you want everyone to remember it as something that was amazing and something they've never seen before, you probably want to get someone with an education and a background to be able to help you carry that out.
I don't remember who said this. I think it might have been David Hoyt or somebody. I don't recall. I saw it on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. He said to a potential client, if you want a below average wedding, hire a below average price DJ. If you want an average wedding, hire an average price DJ. If you want an above average wedding, hire an above average price DJ.
It's real simple. It's a very expensive endeavor having a wedding. And it's one thing to hire the shade tree mechanic to work on your lawnmower. But are you going to have them working on your Ferrari?
Yeah, there is that. There is that. But the perception that is out there and so prevalent is that people just, those things just don't matter. Oh no, this is just a DJ. This is just a,
It's okay if those aren't my clients.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want, and nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to work with you. That's all.
And in a lot of these
Or those are
percent,
the clients whose life I can maybe impact somehow.
for sure. And I think that you're getting to a great point that you're finding your type of client, which is really important. I had a conversation with a DJ earlier today, and we've had the same conversation for 4 or 5 years in a row. And he keeps coming back, and he's like, "Gosh, the brides are still this, and they're beating me up on price." And it's like, you said this 5 years ago. What has changed? Nothing has changed. So it's gone from it being their problem. Now it is your problem. You are the one who has not done a darn thing to change your life or your business or anything. So you are going to continue to whine for another 10 years, but then that's pretty much telling me that you're liking this kind of crap you're getting. If that's what you like, good. Then shut up and quit bothering me. Or let's talk about what you need to finally step up and change and take responsibility for your actions and reactions.
If you can't change the people, change the people.
And sometimes if you can't change yourself, you got to get the heck out and go find something else to do. I'm just saying.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we're going to do our little segue and we're going to go to our next topic. I didn't have one. I shut the air horn off. Next topic is looking into the future. In 5 years, what do you think some of the biggest things that will be changing in the DJ industry for DJs? We're going to look at Magic Ball. Anybody who wants to start us out?
Music acquisition.
Give me a little bit more, because you're on. This is one of the ones I wanted to talk about.
Well, right now they have, you got Spotify and all those services, and just wondering what's next. And right now we're downloading music.
Yep.
What's the next big thing that's going to happen?
Good. We'll hold that one. That's our last. That's the one I think we want to talk last about. Dave, go ahead. We're going to work our way around as long as we're doing it. What do you think?
Sure. Gear-wise, technologically wise, probably more wireless options. I mean, I don't run a whole lot of ceremonies where I'm not wirelessly streaming my music to my sound system now.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can be standing at the back door helping direct people in if they don't have an on-site coordinator doing that type of stuff. So I think wireless is going to continue to play a bigger and bigger role technologically. And I think, well, I'll leave mine at technological stuff.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Mitch, we'll come back and hit that one too, because there's a little bit with that. Mitch, what do you got?
I think it's going to be something I witnessed back in 2009. It really inspired me to jump into video. It's going to be the revolution of adding video into your shows if you don't already do so. Whether it be the new 360 cameras that are out, whether it be, many different options you can do right now to leverage to create something unique and different. To me, it's going to be adding video to your shows if you haven't already done so.
Very cool. Anthony.
I'm going to tag into that a little bit because video and lighting are kind of merging into one element now. So what I think is going to happen is we're start going to see like TVs running full lighting systems or projectors. You can buy one projector and have it your whole lighting rig.
And I think let's just tie. We're going to start. We're going to work our way right back here. We're going to start with the two of you, both yours tied together. I'm seeing things now that are in prototype that I'm hearing about. Is the ability to do that, and then I think you're going to see that to become this thing where it's really a choose your own experience, yet it's a collective experience within the whole group event. If you follow me,
yes.
And I think you're going to have a tie in with that, where people. If you guys have heard about the Silent Symphony, I mean, many of you have probably seen it and such, where the people can choose what they're listening to at that moment. I can see in the future with weddings where we might have three different songs going at the same time, and you have different people listening to different songs and engaging in different ways, and then really to a point choosing their experience on the walls as the decor of the room and such to say, hey, look at I can kind of design this on the fly. So. Just a lot of technology, I think, is really going to change how we handle rooms and such.
Virtual reality. Nobody's going to go to a wedding 5 years from now. We're going to drop a headset on and put that over our eyes, and we'll be there.
Yeah. I think there's going to be components of that will be there. But then it'll probably make the actual smaller, intimate weddings where people are together that much more incredible and important to us. And as we find out, we go to conventions now. We get to see each other, but we go to conventions basically to go and sit down and talk to each other. And it's more the hug and the handshake that we miss from the virtual world.
Oh, I miss you, John.
No kisses. I didn't say kisses.
Okay.
Days when I hate using a 27-inch iMac.
Yeah, exactly. And mine got the rumble feel. Okay, working backwards. God, Dave, I forgot what we're working backwards. So yours was again, please.
The
technology,
wireless
technology. Have you guys played with? There's a few companies that have the wireless speakers. Sonos is the one that I've done the most with, where it's basically one system that's transmitting via wireless to any number of speakers, and they're all basically in sync.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see. And this will tie to that individual experience, I think, that you were talking about. Because, Mitch, when you're talking to your brides, are you hearing brides who are wanting to really have that unique experience that is more catered to their style, or what are you finding out right now?
Yeah, frankly, it's almost sad, and we as a company have had to adapt a little bit. I'm having more of my couples wanting less of the personalization as of late.
That's what I was finding out too.
Which is a trend. I'm seeing it as a trend. I'm not sure if anyone else is or not. It's just interesting to me that I'm seeing it slip back. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing. They still want to rock a party. Don't get me wrong, Dave. They still want to rock a party. But today's couples, and you and I, Dave, come from a very similar background of education. Today's couples, I'm finding they don't care to really make the cake cutting ceremony a thing. They don't care to personalize their introductions. We can do that somewhere else, or we can do that with our first dance, or we can do that with, something else. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a trend I'm seeing, I guess. How did we get off on this tangent? I'm sorry.
No, this is
About
part of that,
wireless.
because this is that concept of that wireless technology. I think is going to be built into that individual experience. It's all going to come together, because first off, we're going to go wireless with maybe using Wi-Fi speakers, and maybe doing back to the old days when we tried to have the surround sound around the room. We're going to go from that to the point of now we're going to have that individual sound experience. And I could see times where we're going to have brides that want 2 dance floors. They want to have a dance floor that's going to be doing maybe oldies from 80s on back, and they're going to want a dance floor that's doing something for the younger crowd in the same vicinity.
Yeah, but how do you control that? I mean, having them both in the same venue,
It's the silent disco headphones.
Silent disco,
okay,
or there's
okay.
technology that we did some video on last year where you can have zoned sound that's actually really quite good, that is in that zone, and it's hugely directional, way more directional than even the Cardioid from Electro Voice and Yamaha that they use.
Mhm.
It's incredible stuff, and I can see these definitely coming down. We got about 3 minutes left. James, what was yours? Yours is the one I think we can dig into. You mentioned music. Yes, music.
Yeah.
Yeah, music.
How we're going to acquire music, how we're going to play back music. Well, we're probably going to be playing it back, but what are live options for playing back music? All of a sudden, somebody comes up with a request, or a last minute request, or something that we didn't have per se.
I'm gonna start this part off here by asking you guys, how long do you think it'll be before we are carrying less than 10 gig of music, and the rest of it's going to be basically accessed via a stream? 5 years or less.
Yeah.
As we're hearing things and going through, and then we're talking to some of the people who are in the music licensing area and what they're trying to do, I can see there will be a time in the future, whether that's 3 to 5 years, maybe it's not going to be too far, that we're not going to carry much of anything for music with us anymore, because it will all be licensed and it will all be streamed, and that's just the way we're going to be served as entertainers, which is going to stink in some cases, but I don't think we won't be having any conversations saying I needed a 3 terabyte hard drive in my laptop to handle all my music. I don't think that's going to be there anymore.
I only carry a half a T drive with me to any gig.
Well, that's because there aren't that many. There's only so many polka songs you can play. Come on now, James.
Exactly.
Can I show something?
Yeah, go ahead, Andy.
So this is my laptop. Talking about wireless, you see those little lights that are moving?
Okay.
Yeah.
iPhone. No wires. I will show you. Absolutely no wires. Wireless.
Yeah. We've got that technology and the ability to control and back and forth. It's just how that concept engages our guests on our dance floor. That's going to be really what I think becomes revolutionary in the technology between sound, lighting, video, and of course the music, where it's all coming from.
I think maybe I'm just old, but I don't trust those things yet. I know it is what it is. I just don't trust wireless yet.
And a lot of people didn't trust electricity when it first started coming out to these rural areas either, but now we're pretty much sold on it. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but let's face it, man, it's going to get to the point where this is going to become the norm. And in order to be there, because now they can police the licensing for music better for performances, we're going to have to go and jump through the hoops. So we got 25 seconds left. Any last words on this, guys? Then we're going to go to the next topic.
Welcome to the future.
Yeah, that's really what it's going to be. Okay, let's go. We're going to switch to topic 3. Here we go. Next topic, legal music. Should we care about this? Let's continue on. Anthony, I'm going to start with you. We haven't started with you. We're going to work our way around the opposite way. So, should we care about legal music in this day and age?
Well, I'm kind of half and half on this, because you're gonna get people who are using like illegal music no matter what. It's just something you can't deal with. But on the other hand, you want to be legit and use all the real music. So, like, I mean, you can go say, "Oh, I have all the real music," and somebody's gonna say, like, "Yay, what do I have to do with that?" See what I'm saying?
Yep, I think so. I think that gets back to the perception type thing. Is the customer doesn't care. And from a younger person, that's an interesting. You're going to have a different perspective on it than some of us olders, like Grandpa James. There, he'll have a completely different perspective. Mitch, your thoughts? Legal music, should we care?
Do you care? Do you care about your life? Do you care about your livelihood? If you do, then you should have legal music. And sometimes even people way up here in the lower Canada area, there was a student at Michigan Technical University, Michigan Technological University, I should say, MTU up in Houghton, which is way like 3.5 hours north of me, who got busted for illegal music quite a while ago and got a 6-figure fine. And the reality is, if you care about your life, if you care about what's next, your livelihood as a business owner, then yeah, you should care and you should have legal music. Otherwise, you think, oh, I'm in here, they're never going to find me. Yeah, BS. They're going to find you somewhere.
They definitely will. Dave, you're going to come at it a little bit different now because you've got the Canadian music licensing behind you. So your thoughts on should a person care about that, especially in your neck of the woods?
The DJ should care about it because it's such a non-issue. I mean, rather than echoing Mitch's sentiments, which of course I agree with, it is such a non-issue. For me, I spend less than 1% of gross revenue annually on music. I don't care. It's a non-issue. I don't even know why people talk about it. As I've said previously, I pay for music because the entire basis for my living depends on exploiting somebody else's creativity and talents. For that, here's my money.
I get you right there. I agree wholeheartedly with that. Can't argue
Sorry to
that.
be blunt, but
No, that's great. James, what's your thought?
I think you just summed it up, basically. It's I think we need to pay for music. I think we need to obtain it legally. Otherwise, it just degrades us. It degrades us to the fact that we're grabbing stuff. Sometimes there's issues with the free music, the stolen music, that don't show themselves until it's too late.
Yeah. So what do you think for the people now, Anthony, I don't want to pick on you, but you're kind of getting to that age group where this is coming out now more, is that basically music should be free since it's something that's out there and you can get it easily. And why should we have to pay for it? It should be there. And of course, even from the older days of guys my age and a little older, we used to get our music fairly free because we were the promoting factor if we were working with a radio station. Mm-hmm. Today, somebody comes up and says, hey, man, why should I pay for music? Because I'm out there and they're getting the exposure and I'm doing them a favor. What's your reply to that DJ? Come on, there's got to be somebody.
If that artist asked you for a favor, then by all means, oblige them.
If Taylor Swift says, yeah, can you come over and paint my fence? Then you'd be like, I'm all over it. Because I've been using your music.
I'd be all over there. And as Mitch says, I'd ask her if she wants me to wear a shirt or not.
No.
Wow.
That's part of our full service, sweetie. So then let's
I think
go
the question was for Anthony.
No, it was actually for all of us. I mean, it was just Anthony's.
Okay.
Anthony's in that right era, but I see my boys who are in that arena, and it's been a struggle for them because they're like, gosh, why should I be paying for the software? Why should I be doing this, doing that? It's all out there, and it's like,
here's the reality. Don't you think that if you created something, you'd want to be paid for it?
Mm-hmm.
For sure,
I would.
And then the argument, I've had that one asked that, and a question that comes back is, well, they're going to make this music anyway. It's their passion, and they make so much money off from concerts. So why are we going to make a nickel off me?
Well, most people aren't even making money off records anymore. It's just when they go off and sell their concerts.
Yep.
Yeah,
Anthony's right.
So either way.
I do have some musician friends that they get royalty checks.
Oh, really?
And
yeah, not too many.
No, they get royalty checks, and they're not huge royalty checks, but hey, every bit pays a bill,
Mm-hmm.
So I've got one more angle, guys. I want to take on this one. legal music services that provide music to DJs. I know there's many, we can get music cheaper in different places and we're paying for it. So we make us feel like we're actually, contributing to the industry, but they don't. Should we be concerned about all of these illegal music services that are out there in the DJ industry?
How do you check whether it's legal or not?
There are some things you can do, and we've talked about this in some other videos. There's a few little litmus tests. One is if you're looking at their website, and if the contact information, the only way you can contact them is by a web form, and you can't find out where they're located, where the home office is, no phone numbers or anything to that effect, no physical address. 9 chances out of 10 they're probably not legit. Again, this is U.S., Dave. In Canada it's probably a little different. If they're offering music that is over 3 years old, there are rules within the music industry when it comes to audio tracks that you cannot provide backtracks that are older than 3 years old. That's why you see Promo Only and Prime Cuts and these other companies start to clear their old records or their old discs out when they're 2 years old, because they are going to sit on them if they can't sell them for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So music video is a different story. You can sell music videos all the way back. That's why a lot of guys are buying music video, the catalogs and such to fill in with some songs that they couldn't get.
Yeah.
Audio is different. Now, if I go to a website and I find out that I can download, hey, I can, the album cut of Barbie Girl, that's probably not a legitimate site. If I go and I look and it's like, the only way I can contact them is to do this web form, and then then we'll get a hold of you in 10 days. Probably not a legitimate site. But
in my opinion, just from that regard, support the ones that support us as an industry. The ones that are there at the trade shows as well, like Promo Only. Big fan of Promo Only. They came and supported an event I spoke at in Tampa. So Glenn and Ricky and the guys, big fans. Jim Weiss from Prime Cuts has always been a good friend. I would encourage you to support the ones that support us.
And I think that's a great point. A great point, because these are the companies that are putting their money into the conventions and the educational opportunities, supporting those to help grow the industry. So that's a great point, Mitch. Okay, guys, let's jump to our next topic. Our next one, we're going to be up to, where are we at? Oh, there we go. We'll switch and get to the next. Session number 4, question number 4, topic number 4 is, do requests hurt your dance floor or do they help your dance floor? Now, Anthony, you may not be able to help or talk much about this one. So we're going to start with James on this one, and we're going to just work on with the three of us, I think, on this one. Do requests hurt or help your dance floor? What are your thoughts?
Depends on who.
Oh, I don't want it depends, man. I don't want it depends. I want an answer.
Typically not.
That's what I want to hear.
Typically not. No, we have what the bride and groom has chosen. We have what we already know from years of experience, and so we don't really need input. It's great. We want it. We want to be smiling and engaging, and that'd be great. Yeah, because we're probably already going to play it. Unless some weird uncle comes up and wants goth metal or something like that.
Well, that's what we play around central Minnesota all the time. Dave, what's your thoughts? Requests. Do they hurt or help your dance floor?
They help far, far more than they hurt. And only because I'm going to pick apart your question. Taking the requests always helps my dance floor. Playing every request is a different question. But every moment I have to interact with a guest, I know, because of what I've come to do over the past number of years, is I'm going to create a positive experience, whether I play their song or not. I'm going to create for them a different interaction than they've ever had with the previous DJ. And they're going to like me after that interaction, regardless of whether I play their song or not. Does that work all the time? Not 100%, but the overwhelming majority, yes. So the more I can get people to like me, the more they're going to participate in what I ask on behalf of them for the purpose of the event. So overwhelmingly, yes, requests help my dance floor.
Very interesting way to look at that. Mitch?
I'm not going to analyze your question like Dave did and pick it apart. I'm just going to answer it how you wanted it answered. I'm sorry, James, I disagree. Yes, absolutely. Requests help my dance floor more than hurt it. 200 heads are better than one or maybe two if you work with a partner. I've had many guests come up and ask for a song that, you know what, I didn't think of. And yeah, absolutely, that's going to work. And it may not work next, and it may not work in 10 minutes. Yes, sometimes they'll come up and ask for something that I wish they would have asked for earlier in the night because, dude, it would have been a great song for after dinner before we start dancing, but maybe not right at that moment. But overall, do they help more than hurt? Yes, absolutely. It's their party. It's their party. It's not your party.
See, and I'm gonna go closer to James' idea, especially when I'm thinking my school dances. As a school dance DJ, requests can hurt my dance floor way more than they can help it. This past year at school dances, the requests have sucked. Chris just put up there, they're talking about Fetty Wap, and it worked for a little bit, but I mean, oh my gosh, the last request that I had at the school last weekend, as we were going through and looking at those, and I showed the teacher, and it's like, goodness gracious, of all 75 requests that were on site, like 2 were playable. It's like, can you, the next time before the dance, can you go and like put in the announcements and define what a dance is? You know what the word dance means? It doesn't mean stand in a corner there and like try to smoke pot, pretending you're smoking pot and listening to the latest thing. So in that situation, definitely hurts way more than help.
Something we've done, John, and maybe you're already doing this. I don't know. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah, go ahead.
We had that situation where, we had a lot of kids coming up and asking for stuff. And frankly, the kids are so cutting edge on music. It's not even funny. I swear they get the songs before the artists get the songs.
We were with Taylor last night and she was thinking about it, and I finished the song this morning.
Right. So anyway, what we've done to avoid that problem of getting to the dance and not being able to have the song or whatever the case may be is we actually go to the school during the week before the dance and walk through during lunchroom time and get requests from the students ahead of time so that we can therefore more than likely guarantee we're going to have the songs they want, be able to preview them as well ahead of time and find out what's going to work in what sets. That's just what's worked for us. Everyone's different, whether you want to take that time or not. As a company, that's your decision as a company, not your John, but anyone watching this, and it's just what's worked for us to help maintain that relationship between us and the school.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely, in this day and age, because there's such a diverse, it used to be that when we knew of the top 40 station, what that played, that's what the kids were listening to. Those days are so far gone. Anthony, here's a part you can participate with on this one. Answer this one for me. Music, where do you find your music today as far as where do you listen to?
I use SoundCloud.
So you're coming out with things that probably aren't hitting any radio at all. Those are probably mixes and such you're listening to.
Most of it's just direct EDM from the producers, but it comes out the second it's released. So that's where I get most of mine.
And my boys, they're listening to very little. I mean, they occasionally will hear something on YouTube, but they don't use YouTube for that. It's they're streaming something. I don't know where they're streaming things from, but it's not top 40 stations for sure, Blaze. So when they're asking or looking at music, it's a different world it's like, what?
I actually stream a couple of stations, one KTU New York, just because I like that,
Makes you feel.
And I try to get a diverse selection. So I might go to this station one day and then I might go to another station another day and just kind of get a grasp of what everybody's playing as far as like new music.
Yeah. But again, even with no matter what we do for research and such, I think the last weekend's show was probably the most I've ever had. And I get multiple music services, so I don't have many times where maybe one song a night that I don't have. I had over 10 songs last weekend, maybe closer to 20 that I did not have in my library and anywhere. And that never happens. That's why I have these music services, because everything is there and it's clean and I was kind of frustrated about that.
Billboard. Visit Billboard a lot.
For a sec?
Go ahead, Anthony, and then we'll move on.
Let me fix my mic. Hang on. Okay, good. What we did at my school last time is we set up a Google Doc, and it was just a submission form saying request, yada, yada, yada. Is it clean? Whatever. They filled it out, and then they just took it.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Something
So they
simple.
handed them that the night
I
before.
created an email a couple of times with certain schools where they could submit to the particular email, their requests.
See, and I prefer having people write things on toilet paper and handing it to me at the show. That's just my preference, guys.
I use crayons, but
Yeah. Exactly, because then when you use it again later, then you get a little more color to your life. Okay, let's jump to our next topic.
Sometimes
The next
not
topic
entirely.
is dealing with mixing of music when you're blending songs together, or if you're doing beat mixing. Guys, mixing the key of the song or being aware of the key of the song, is that important with your mixing these days? Go ahead, Mitch. You can start us out.
Is mixing in the song key important? Yes. Is playing in the song key important? Not necessarily. The whole defining act for me, does it move more people to your dance floor or keep them on it when you're transitioning from song to song? If it doesn't rotate your dance floor and bring more people to it, or if it doesn't put more people on your dance floor, it doesn't matter, in my opinion. Yes, you want it to be audibly pleasing to your guests. Yes, absolutely. I'm not disputing that. But the ultimate goal is to keep that dance floor moving and to keep your guests engaged and having a good time and dancing.
Interesting. I was expecting you to be more of the that being aware of key. That would have been my guess. James.
Yeah,
James?
if you're beat mixing, yes.
James, go ahead. Being aware of the key of the song and your mixing.
Yeah, actually, it makes a better mix. But the biggest thing is, probably the biggest complaint I used to get is they want to hear more of the whole song. And former club jock, that kind of used to drive me nuts. But you got to do what what your client wants, so you adapt.
Interesting. Dave, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts are new on this, actually. Fully aware. I honestly only the last. Well, I used to take piano lessons back in the day, so I should have known all about this. But really, I only became trying to be more consciously aware of key in the last 5 years or so. And then, honestly, just with the latest release of Serato, did I finally start really working on that element of my programming. And when possible, absolutely. As Mitch said, if I'm going to go from one song that's in one key to another song that's in the same key, for the fact that they're in the same key, that has to cater to what's it going to do to the dance floor. When possible, absolutely. Have I seen more positive results since working on that? Absolutely. And just to cater to your point there, Jimmy, I still play 90% plus of the songs as a general rule, unless I'm really into an EDM set or something like that. But that still doesn't mean you can't mix in key when possible. Yeah.
Okay,
Go ahead. I beat mix at pretty much every single event that I do. Unless the client says not to, I do beat mix. And yes, you're typically mixing on the breakdown, Jimmy, at the 2/3 through 3/4 through, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
It's rare that I'll play a full song unless it's one of those songs, right, that people want to hear the whole thing.
Yeah, like Dashboard Lights or something like that.
Yeah, Piano Man, whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there are those.
So let's if mixing in key or mixing with the key and being aware of that is important, can you train wreck a mix? If you gain line, if you get the beats right on and we're at the same tempo, can the key be so off that it feels like a train wreck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
You can be rock on with the beats and it just fights it. It's terrible. It's like trying to listen to somebody singing off key to a really good song.
It needs to be pleasing to your guests, regardless. It needs to move them emotionally and connect with them on the dance floor. John Taffer said it in an interview leading up to Mole Beat Las Vegas. You're playing reactions. You're not playing music. You're playing
Exactly.
reaction. And that's the reality to me, is that you're playing reactions. And if the reaction is, oh, that doesn't sound good.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it boils down to it. Even if you're not mixing, you can still, drop it on a one and still sound clean.
You don't drop on 2? Oh.
2 3/4, I thought is what it was.
I'll speak to a quick minute to all the DJs watching that might not currently be aware of mixing in key, or maybe currently aren't. You know what? You might not be aware of what you're missing. And I mean, I would hope that everybody's ear is a little bit better than that. But for some people, the fact might simply be that when you mix, 228 BPM songs together, which are, so easy to do, that you maybe don't notice anything. But when you start mixing in key and being more consciously aware of that, then you're going to realize how terrible some of those mixes sounded.
Cool. Arturo just joined us right there. We just are finishing up talking about the importance of mixing in key. So I'm going to have you jump in with the next one with us, the next topic here, because we're going to switch over to our next topic in just a second. Okay. Okay, now we are back. So the next one we're talking about is practice. When it comes to performing, if you are kind of whether you do microphone and announcement practice or you maybe the mixing practice, how important is practice? And I wanted to add something to this, is not only is how important is practice, and if you think it's important, how much would you recommend for a DJ who's kind of just starting out? So we're going to start off, Mitch. We're going to go Mitch, James, Anthony, and then Arturo, and then Dave, and then up to myself. Go ahead, Mitch. Is practice important?
Yes, practice is very important in any discipline that you want to get better at. And I would argue that very many DJs, not you watching this, of course, but very many DJs feel that they're already proficient at where they're at. I would argue that, again, Bill Herman said this before, you always need to be on stage. If you're not on stage, you need to be working on your craft. And to me, in that regard, it's so true. I believe you never arrive. You should always be striving to get better. So practice whatever facets you feel you need practice at. I don't practice enough, frankly, and I need to practice more. You always need to be practicing.
Okay.
And yes, it's extremely important. Next.
James, go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, back in the early days, I used to practice in front of a mirror, so I'd have my, so I wouldn't make weird facial gestures while I was reading things. I mean, no, seriously.
No, I've done the same thing when I was doing wedding announcements.
I work in television, and we pull in occasionally radio talent, and they're terrible on TV because they make all these weird, facial gestures because they're so used to hiding in their little DJ booth. It's just funny. But yeah, practice a lot. In fact, like whenever I have a wedding, I'll go through, my introductions over and over and over. So it just comes, it flows out there. Bang. I don't even have to literally try. It just flows because they're in there. But the only problem is if you get like 3 weddings in 1 week and, it's one runs into the other in your brain and,
Yep, that's for sure. Anthony, what's your
maybe
thoughts?
It's just my brain.
It's all of us. Anthony, what's your thoughts?
I think, for the most part, you should practice. That's it.
I guess
I don't DJ enough to practice.
Yeah, you're the lighting guy. I guess we'd have to
with my lighting stuff. I can get on a controller I haven't used in 3 years and still remember how to use it.
Yeah, that's not the way it works for us. Good stuff. Arturo, what's your thoughts on practice?
Well, I think, practicing, I've been practicing since I've been 16 years old. I'm 45 now, and every gig is different. You have to be, prepared for it. I'll tell you this much, that we're never ready for it. Customers come up to us. All of a sudden, we've got to change the music. We have drunk customers. Or we play this and play that, but we have to have a backup, and one of these things is having practice of know what you do, Basically is you're never ready for it. Practice every day if possible.
I think extending on that is that, and I don't remember who said this, that basically the concept that you practice something and you practice it so much and so thoroughly that you can't get it wrong. And I've heard that one on a few occasions. Definitely.
It's like muscle memory. It's like muscle memory in martial arts. You practice, it just comes to you. You don't have to think about it too hard.
Dave, what's your thoughts?
practice? Who needs practice?
That's what I want to hear. Why waste our time? We should be just
Right.
taking. We need to be
You don't
taking
need
more
to think and
selfies.
practice.
I'm going to throw my hand up, same as Mitch. Guilty. Don't practice enough. I think whether you're just starting out or whether you're 30 years in, the minute you think you don't need any more practice is probably the day you should get out.
Very much so.
If for some reason you aren't finding enough time to practice, for God's sake, video yourself at your events and then go through the gut-wrenching process of watching yourself and try not to make any god-awful faces as you do.
Well, and not only that, but watch yourself one time through, then watch yourself with the sound off,
Right?
and then watch yourself on fast forward. Watching yourself on fast forward will help catch any gestures that you're constantly making that can be distracting to your audience.
Interesting.
And then also
Three parts to
watch yourself with no video as well. Just listen to the audio only.
Yeah.
And what about watching yourself when you made that one video with that pole and that Oh, that was a different show. Different show.
Jimmy, we talked about that earlier. It was the Wrecking Ball video. Oh.
Okay, guys, let's jump to the next topic. Okay, our next topic is what are some of the pop culture sources that DJs need to watch or follow? This past week, of course, a lot of people thought it was a Grammys. Yeah, right. Okay, that's not my thought. But anyway, we're going to continue on with talking pop culture sources. Let's start, Dave. We're going to go down this time. So you are right. You are the first one in line. What do you got?
Pop culture sources, is Spotify considered a pop culture source?
I would say because that's something that people are using to learn and keep up with their music.
Because I discover more music on Spotify than anything else. I love listening to random playlists that people have put together. I almost always have some random playlist playing.
Cool.
Aside from that, yeah, it's a challenge keeping up on the new music for me. I'll fully admit, just because there are so many genres out there these days that, I mean, you used to be able to walk into an event and go, oh, that's a country crowd. Not anymore.
Arturo, what's your thoughts? What are some of the places that pop culture type places that you pay attention to keep fresh and up on what's going on?
Oh, it's clouds, websites. A lot of people on Facebook put Mixcrate and stuff like that. I like to follow that stuff because that's a lot of music that more experienced DJs than me are more, they know more of a style that, for example, if you might have a quinceañera or a wedding, you have to use different styles. It's not the same.
Sure.
And these DJs on Mixcrate and stuff like that, that they have their own style and they, point out a lot of stuff. Oh, this is great for a wedding or for a dollar dance, stuff like that. Mostly, Facebook, what people are posting.
Cool. Anthony, where do guys your age, when they want to keep up on pop culture, where are they checking in? He left us. No, somebody left us. Dave had to bounce. Okay. Anthony, go ahead. What do you got?
SoundCloud. That's it. Just go on SoundCloud.
You're a SoundCloud guy. Very, very much like the Spotify. Is there a playlist and such you're following on that, or do you follow certain people, or you do just random?
It just, once you follow that person, every new track or anything they post will come into your stream, like within minutes of them posting it.
Very much like a podcast.
Let's say I just saw this here. Kanye West just put up a new track.
Ooh, we should stop the show right now and go listen to it. Maybe we could buy it. Maybe we should buy 10 copies because he needs the money.
Oh, we can listen to it for free right here on SoundCloud.
No. He needs the money.
No, he needs the money.
Yeah, it's legal music. We want to make sure. James, what are your thoughts?
I do a lot. I look at actually Facebook. I look at what people are posting up on Facebook. I look at, of course, I live on a lot of different Billboard 100, Billboard R&B, Billboard Dance. All those charts. I visit those at least once a week, and there's a couple other radio stations around the country. But where I live, it's very kind of laid back. People aren't, looking for cutting edge. So
Cool. So yeah, you've got
Yeah.
some, but that if they're not up with things, sometimes you're 3 months ahead of them just by being on the social media that you
they
are.
go, they're like, what's this?
Yep. Mitch.
It's interesting. I'm taking a completely different take. For me, it's concerts, it's comedians, it's live performances, it's street buskers. If I'm in an area that has that, anywhere I can watch someone move a crowd emotionally, I'm in, because I want to see how they do it, and I want to learn their nuances of how they create that experience for that client, for that audience. And Kyle Cease has been an amazing comedian. He actually was just voted most recently like one of the top 10 internet coaches to watch. And I've had the pleasure of studying underneath him and bringing him into a conference that I help produce education for. And Kyle's amazing. So if you have a chance to check out Kyle's stuff, I'd encourage you to do so. And then also, like I said, anytime you see a live performance, a concert, to me, that's one of the best ways you can get inspiration and figure out where to go next.
For sure. And it used to be, of course, not too terribly long ago when we were looking for, where sources for things or information, what have you, what was going to be hot. We were talking about TV, maybe even cable. But the biggest source, I think, today is YouTube for finding out, not only what you can go there, you can see what music is hot, what's just been released, what's going to be hot. You can go and see, what entertainers are hot, what kind of shtick and routines that they're doing that are hot. I mean, was it James Corbin with his car karaoke? I mean, that was like nobody knew what that was. 2 months ago, or whatever it was, 2 or 3 months ago, and now, I mean, it's almost a household thing around the world that everyone knows what this is about him riding in a car on a trailer being pulled around town. I mean, it's just the phenomenal that YouTube, because it isn't from his show. His show doesn't have that high of ratings. It's the YouTube world that's really carried him to
And
that.
that gets carried over on Facebook because people post all these videos on YouTube. They post them over on Facebook. So it's like, you also, you see what people are using, but then you get what the people in your friend and group of friends and the outer ring of people like and want to see. And, and it gives you a more diverse without having to go look for it per se.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody mentioned they were wondering if there were live DJ gigs on YouTube. And I'll touch on this for just a second, and we'll go to our next topic. This past Wednesday night, we did a 4-hour live show from Pittsburgh. We had there were like 40 DJs mixing, and they were changing every 10 minutes. What ends up happening is that when you do that and you have it going through YouTube, all that music, we ended up having, I think, as of this morning, we had 175 different copyright violations that were posted against that show. It ended at 2 a.m. our time. I think it was 1 or 2 a.m. our time, maybe 3 a.m. Anyway, within minutes of it ending, that's when the copyright violations came up. I think there were 10 of them. After the 10th one, they muted the audio. After the 20th one, they shut the video off, so you can't even watch it in the world. So that's why you don't see live DJ gigs on YouTube, or at least you'll never see the second playing of them, is because YouTube and their copyright things are so strong.
Well, there's one DJ group that does a Tuesday night gig, and I'm not gonna,
Yeah, there's a few that are doing it, but you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't do live mixing
It's
shows.
it's not on YouTube though.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not on YouTube. They're doing their own thing, and they're using good equipment. They're chroma keying and mixing in video, and it's done fairly well.
Oh yeah. We've watched a few of those ourselves.
A
Cool.
friend of mine uses Twitch. So
Yeah.
that's what they use to stream gaming. And another one, he uses Facebook. So you could just use Facebook and stream your video live.
Yeah. There's definitely, we're going to be looking at it because it was a really good show, and it was cool to watch other DJs perform, because most of the time we're either performing or you don't get to actually just sit there and watch and evaluate. It's like, oh, why did he do that? Why did he do that? Anyway, we're going to jump to the next topic here, guys. I'll get the video going. Out. So the next one is going to be 2 hot songs that work on your dance floor. We don't have to go into the why. We can debate it or talk about those songs afterwards. But I want each one of our people to pick 2 songs that work on their dance floor that are going to be popular songs. And then I don't want to have any repeating. So, Arturo, you're the last one to come in. We're going to let you go first. Mitch, you're going to go last because that makes it most difficult for you. You're welcome. Arturo, two hot songs that are just really hot right now for you guys.
Well, believe it or not, I play a lot for Hispanics, and there's a song called El Caballo Dorado. It's kind of like a long line dance. It's put on, people start dancing. And the other one is The Wobble. Those are my top 2 songs that I get everybody on the dance floor.
Very cool, very cool. Dave, I'm going to have you go next.
God, anything Bieber. Oh.
Yeah, we're just going to take your DJ card away from you.
Oh,
Thank you.
and he's from my country. I mean, and that's not a flag I raise. I can't believe he's back as big as he is. It blows my mind, to be quite honest. But I guess just like Britney Spears, any press is good press.
And he has done. So you're gonna just randomly, your 2 songs are gonna be anything from just the two songs from Justin Bieber.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Uptown Funk is still hot. I mean, I'll say Uptown Funk, and I'll say, sorry, Justin Bieber.
There we go. So that way you can take Uptown Funk off the table. So it's gonna get more difficult now as we go. Anthony, can you give us a couple of songs that you think are hot?
Well, for me, it's kind of a hard one because what I find is we have like 5 radio stations in town, 500,000 people, and anything that they're playing currently that's hot and you play it, everybody just goes nuts. That's it.
Well, that's kind of boring.
And they're playing songs from like last year. Like, I don't know, The Weeknd, Can't Feel, they're still playing Can't Feel My Face. And like, I mean,
He took my song.
they just go nuts. They go nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Let's see, James, you're next.
Okay, I'm gonna dive into old school.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah, It Takes Two into Apache.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
You know, I know it's old, and but it still fills that dance floor up like, it's an instant go-to.
Cool. Mitch?
Well, Can't Feel My Face was one that I was definitely going to say. It's funny because, I was at a country concert not that long ago, and they were bumping that song with the country crowd, and everybody was singing it. So very interesting. For me, it's if you get, the parents' ages, if you will, and I dare say, yours and my age, John,
Yeah.
Your Love by the Outfield still works.
Good pick. Yes, it does.
It's still, you hit that vocal over the top of, I'm normally beat mixing out of Push It, Salt and Pepper into Your Love and something else. And that works. And then the other one, frankly, that still works right now, and yeah, it's a recurrent, but Shut Up and Dance still works.
Mm-hmm.
People will still dance to that, at least in my market.
Yeah. My 2 that I'm going to go is I was going to go some old school with this also. And one of them is, they both are high school mainly that I get requests for these, and the kids are engaging them. Barbie Girl still goes over incredibly well at high school dances. Yeah, I don't know why.
You took my card away for Bieber?
Yeah, right?
I'm just saying. This is what has this.
Something must be different down in the U.S.
Yeah, well, it might be a central Minnesota thing too, but
Come on, wrapped in plastic, it's fantastic. No.
you go and I'm going by the response of the dance floor, and the kids hoot and holler at a lot, but there's like this like they shifted into a different gear. They're getting so excited. It's like what? Whoa, no. And the other one that gets a lot of response and a lot of play in what I'm doing is I do a video version with Don't Stop Believing, where it's a sing along, and I make it a sing along, and I've got a routine to that, and I use that pretty much everywhere, and it never fails to take the energy level from here to up here when we're done with it, and it just goes crazy with that. So
Yeah.
those are my 2. One quick, we've got a
Side
couple.
note about Don't Stop Believing. The
Yeah.
shop just up the street from me did their last tour.
Nice.
Cool.
Hey,
cool.
John, can I mention a song that I wish was really, really hot?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say let's go with you had an angle, but go with that.
Okay. I mean, I think it came out late last year, and it was hot at 2 weddings, if I remember correctly. But SOB by Nathaniel Ratecliffe and the Night Sweats. I wish that song was massive because it's such a fun song.
Interesting.
Son of a Bitch by Nathaniel Ratecliffe and the Night Sweats. Nobody?
No, that's not. I've never heard it. But that's interesting because
Oh, believe it or not, Jim Cerrone turned me onto that song. Jim, if you're watching, it's all your fault.
it's your
Jim
fault.
turned me onto it.
And Jim
Take a
does.
listen. It is fun.
I'll have to do that. For
You
my
know, that'd be a good subject. What's a guilty pleasure song?
that's it. I've got a Derulian. I talked about this on one of our live shows, and I can't think of it. One of his recent ones, not the very newest one, but the one before that I had hoped it would go over better, but it never quite did.
Want to?
Yeah, Want Me.
Yeah.
The song's got such a great beat, and it's got and it moves along, and it's not horrible bad lyrics. I mean, some of them are, but and it's like it doesn't go over on the dance floor for me. But I want it to.
You're gonna laugh. One of my guilty pleasure songs is "Jam" by Michael Jackson.
Oh,
I love that song. I love that song.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't play it at all anymore, but
No.
that song just always gets me.
Mine, I close out like when I'm doing bars or parties or something like that. 311 Amber.
oh boy, I haven't heard that one in a long time.
Yeah, it's just like a mellow, relaxing. Everybody usually gets a little wild if you're working a bar or nightclub at the end of the night. Everybody's tank, and it slows the groove down. It puts everybody in a mellow. Nobody wants to fight. Everybody's like, "Oh, I like this song," swinging their beer as they finish it.
I love you, brother. I love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Be back next week.
Mellow.
Anybody have any other songs that are kind of a guilty pleasure? We'll finish up with that.
I don't know, because apparently nobody knew my Nathaniel Ratecliffe tune.
Well, no,
I'm gonna
they're
throw
actually
out one more that,
they're actually
I'm gonna throw
talking
out one
about
more
it.
that none of you know.
Chris mentioned Chris knew who sang it, so there's more than one person I
good.
listened to Jim Cerrone. 2 of you did.
Guilty pleasures. I don't know. I go into all kinds of routes. If somebody wants to hear a guilty pleasure song of mine, they can look up a song called "Addie Amos" by Miriam Stockley.
Okay.
Wow.
There we go.
Okay, so now that just brought me up to my guilty pleasure song. When I have someone who I've done the wedding's over, and we've ended, and they're like, "Can you play one more song?" And it's like, "Well, what would you like to hear? I can do one more song for you just because you're a nice person." And they're like, "You pick it. You play your favorite song that you want to play at this point in time." It's Prince, "Let's Get Crazy." Dearly beloved,
Choice.
we're gathered here today to do this called live. And then, of course, the volume has to continually escalate as the song goes. And when he hits the guitar riff, and again, you guys probably seen some of my videos. We're running either I'm using the big Yamahas or I'm running the big EVs with the 18s. I mean, this is way bigger than most of my weddings need. By the time that's done and you've got the drums and everything going at the very end, the room just kind of echoes that for a few seconds afterwards after the song's done. Yeah, I guess that'd be a guilty pleasure song. Okay, we got 2 topics left. Let's jump in. Two topics left. Our
Is
second.
anybody else reading the chat?
I've been bouncing back and
Where
forth
is
to
the
there.
chat?
It's on
Where is
YouTube.
it?
Yeah, if you go to discjockeynews.com/live, that pops you right to the YouTube channel, and that's where the chat is. It's been pretty busy, so we're thanking you guys. Oh, hey, there we go. Yep, that's where they've been talking about a lot of the songs. Last one, we've got our second to last one, exit plan, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, but for DJs, is having an exit plan?
Oops, sorry, guys.
Is it what?
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Is exit plan important? And if so, what are the components of an exit plan? So Mitch kind of threw it out there that having an exit plan is pretty important. So maybe we should just focus on the components of it, because I think that he kind of made that argument for us already. So if you are going to be getting out of the business, and Anthony, this one you probably aren't going to be able to participate, but for the rest of us, if we were going to be getting out of the business, say we wanted to be out in 10 years, what are some of the things that we would need to be doing to get ready for that? Dave, I'm going to start with you because I know Mitch is going to have a few things lined up for that. So I'm going to start with you, Dave, and I'm going to go Dave, Arturo, and then James, Mitch. That'll be our route. So go ahead, Dave. What are some things that would need to be? Just a couple for us.
As it currently stands, I'm going to die with my DJ business.
That's an exit plan. That's called the shovel and dirt method of getting out of it.
Yeah, no, I'm probably like a lot of guys out there, and I'm gonna very much empathize and look forward to what Mitch has to say. But I'm one of the guys out there that has no exit plan per se, aside from the fact that I'm simply going to do this until I can. And there's a pile of other things I'd love to do in life. So I guess it depends if an exit plan hits me before I say yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have my eye on other things I'd like to do in life, maybe that don't require the physical requirements of what we do or the time requirements that we do. So maybe in that sense, Mitch will tell me I do have an exit plan, but nothing formal, nothing written down.
Gotcha. Yeah, probably not. No, you don't. You don't. Arturo, what are your thoughts with an exit plan? What have you? Some of the components of that, or have you done anything with that or thought about that?
Well, believe it or not, it's the first time I'm hearing of it. I have children that are teenagers now, and eventually, if I get out of it, it's gonna go to them.
Sure.
I got a lot of stuff in the garage, and this is the first time, I'm starting to think now, maybe I should have one, because the wife hates it, she hates it. But I'm gonna get started because she's right here in front of me. But thing is, maybe just give it to my children and then move on,
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that does definitely becomes a plausible plan. Because at one time that was one of my thoughts too, and then I found out my kids don't care to DJ. But that's another story for another time. James.
Well, originally I was thinking like a Thelma and Louise ending where I go off the cliff in my van, with all the gear in it. But no, I think what I'm going to do is when I get to the point where it's just like a little too much, what I'll do is just raise my prices up to where they're astronomical, and if somebody does want me to DJ, it's worth all the effort.
Cool. Mitch, you've got some thoughts on exit plans?
Yeah. First off, I would argue that if you're like Dave, if you're watching this video and you're like Dave and you have a lot that you want to do after DJing, you absolutely need an exit plan now. In my opinion, because you need to know where you're going next and what do you want to do. Life is too short, man. And for me, this was fellow disc jockey news columnist Mike Walter. And when I first started Tailored Entertainment, I chose Tailored Entertainment because just in case I ever wanted to take my single op DJ service and turn it multi-talent, I could. I wasn't tied to just Mitch's music service or whatever, that kind of thing.
Right.
And so reality at that point, I'm also a big believer in leaving an area better than when you found it. And so that was part of the reason for me to expand Tailored Weddings and start hiring talent. And from the standpoint of the exit plan, your business needs to be able to survive without you. If you can't take yourself out of the business and let it run without you for, I would dare say, 2 or 3 months at least, then you're not to the point where you can. A great book to read on this subject is The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. If you haven't read that, I definitely recommend you reading it. I need to read it again. It's been a while since I've read it, but I would encourage you to do so. Exit plans, you need to know what your business is valuated at. And I've never bought and sold a DJ business yet. I hope to with Tailored Weddings. I'm moving in that direction. My exit plan right now is planned for about a decade from now. Once my kids get out of, my daughter graduates high school, the plan is to hopefully, depending on how the market is, retire at that point, and travel and do the speaking thing that I've already embarked on and kind of been ramping up as of late. So absolutely, you should have an exit plan and know where you want to go. If you don't know where you want to go, just like you hopping in a car and without a roadmap and without being able to use Google Maps and know where the heck you're going. Where are you going in your business? What's your exit plan?
So I would go as far, Mitch, and you're kind of getting that at the same places. The exit plan, and what I did when I started Soundforce is I put together the business plan, and the exit plan was part of the business plan. It was kind of a and the appendix of it, we'll call it. But the idea was to build Soundforce up to get it to a point and have it so it would become something that could be sold. And we followed that progression very well. And actually, we had an offer one time from an outside company that wanted to come and buy us. And at that time, the greatest asset that we had that they were looking for was, and this is going to date us, was our 800 phone number. Our 800 phone number was leading to anywhere from 20 to 30 calls within, it was, there were some days we were getting 40 calls a day. It was incredible at that time. It was the numbers of calls and such. It was crazy. That day, because of these things, that 800 number became completely obsolete. We had an offer at that time for, it was well over, it was I think 120,000. Somebody had offered to buy that 800 number from us at that time. Oh no, it's worth much more than that. Yeah, well, I should have sold it back then, but
it ran to the bank.
So, Dave, what do you got?
Right, wrong, or otherwise, I suppose the reason I haven't given it as much formulated thought as far as selling my company and so on and so forth is I really look at myself and what I do as a performing artist.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, if Russell Crowe breaks his leg, he has no contingency plan for who's going to replace him for 3 months.
Very true. Very true.
Now, obviously, if I break my leg, my couples would like me to have a plan. I get that. And come hell or high water, I'm going to be at those events doing my best. And if I can't be, I'll fly one of the many colleagues I know in the area or drive, whatever the case may be. And so I guess for that reason, I mean, the whole idea of selling a company and so on and so forth, a minority in the DJ world, a minority in the performance acting singer world, not to say those people don't have business plans or exit plans, I should say. But just some thoughts.
Dave, yeah. I absolutely understand where you're coming from. I used to be very much same like mindset.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go too deep here, but the reality for me is, again, leaving a place better than when I found it. And the reality is if I closed up Tailored Weddings tomorrow and didn't have someone to sell it to or staff to turn it over to, then the reality is that it kind of goes back to what we had before.
See, that's not true. Every time I go out and I perform at an event, I've left those people slightly better than when I found them.
Agreed.
And of course,
but does the general public have you as an option anymore once you remove yourself from it?
Due to my wife's work, I'll be moving every number of years anyway. So maybe that's why I think about this differently.
Okay,
that makes sense.
We've had that conversation.
Yeah.
So maybe that's my point of view on that, or where it comes from anyway.
And
like I said, right, wrong, or otherwise.
And I think that's the thing is, as we're seeing even in the chat board, there's going to be a variety of different things. Ideally, in a perfect world, we're back in a perfect world. Yes, you want to have a business plan. Yes, you want to have that, but there are other ways to get things done. May not be as right as other ways, but at the end of the day, it's really about keeping our customers happy and building those relationships and making money. So, guys, we need to get on to our last topic of the night. Last topic for tonight, turning down a gig. Would you do it? And if so, or if you have, let's talk about those. Arturo, I want to start with you on this one. I'm going to give you the first shot at it. Would you turn down a gig for any reason or for a specific reason? And if you have, what type of an event was it that you just said, no, ain't going to do it?
Okay, it was a wedding. I live in Palmdale, so I got to go down the hill. That's like 40 minutes. I got to factor in the labor, the vehicle. My vehicle is a HHR. I try to keep it light, so if I can't carry truss on me, big speakers or stuff that I need, I'm gonna have to turn it down. I don't want to go over there to a wedding looking ridiculous, small, the lights and stuff. I just gotta turn it down. Sure. I want the customer to get a good DJ at what they're looking for, what they're paid for, and I turn them down. So
very cool, very good. I wish more DJs would have that level of maturity. Is really the best way to describe it. That hey, I can't do everything for everyone like that. Very nice, James. What do you turning down a gig? Would you? And if you have, what did you?
Usually it's usually a barrier, physical barrier, like a lot of stairs or just some crazy setup that just it's more hassle than it's worth. And there's been some gigs that I have taken that I wish I had turned down, and I'm sure I'm not alone about that. And what are you gonna do? You do the best and you work through it, and you try to service your client as best as you can. And you can't always fill every want and desire, so find somebody that can.
Yeah. Mitch,
Yeah.
would you turn, and have you, and if so,
My name is Mitch Big Pig Taylor. What are you talking about?
Nice.
I never met a paying gig I didn't like, man.
It's right.
Show me the money.
If you show me the money, I show you the honey. No. I definitely have turned down events before. And in fact, I have fired a client before, one that had already booked me. And yeah, that's a true story. And not necessarily proud of it, but it's reality and something that happened. And I keep it real. Yes, I absolutely want to have a red velvet rope policy with my clients. And I want to choose the people that I get to work with, not work for. That's a huge shift in mindset, I think, working with your clients versus working for your clients. And yes, when you first start out, you're pretty much taking every event. I get that. But at some point, you're going to have to choose. The reality is that if I'm giving up my weekend, my Saturday away from my family, I want to be able to know that I'm geek going into that event and working with that client and not be like James said, I've worked people that at the end, I'm like, I shouldn't have taken that one.
For sure.
So.
For sure. Dave, could you, in a boat with a goat?
Let's see, you had me up until the goat.
I thought you were Canadian.
Oh,
Hey?
Turning down a gig. Dave, would you do it? And if so, have you done?
There are very few gigs out there I hate that term gig, pardon me. There are very few events out there that if I take them on, they're going to be worth my while. And, when it comes to physical limitations, I would maybe suggest, look, if they're willing to pay for everything that it's going to take for me to make that event comfortable, then I'll take it if I'm buying out the uncomfort nature of it, I suppose. I did turn down my first wedding, though, ever just a year or so ago, maybe. Long story short, met with the couple, but I should say only she was there. He showed up about an hour late, was completely disinterested, and just a real turnoff. And so I rapidly closed things up without really offering them my services. Believe it or not, the following weekend, he was a guest at an event that I was a part of, and he was just an absolute, I can't say it on live TV, but just a real displeasure to me that evening.
Right.
And he went slightly out of his way to make it so. And I said to myself, I'll bet what's going on is she really wants me, and he does not want to put forth the effort that I will require of the both of them if I'm to work with them.
Very sure. Very
And
true.
so I never heard anything. And then about 2 months later, I got an email from her saying, Dave, I hope you're still available for my date. Yes, I finally talked him into it. We're going to hire you.
Oh.
And my reply was, all the best. Here are a few other people you can call. I am not available for your date.
Yep.
Smart decision.
Well handled.
That was it. So that's the first and only time I've done it, honestly. Have there been some clients that I've wished I didn't work with? Once or twice, yes. And as Mitch said, I've put in some procedures and some things now that help
you
me
catch
avoid
that.
those types of clients.
In my experience or my situation, I have had numerous, especially as I have matured in this industry over the last 10 years. There's numerous times where I'm at a meeting with a couple and we're talking and they've seen my show and they love what I do and they want me to do da-da-da-da-da. And I find out through the course of the discussion that some of the things that are important to them, like seeing how many kegs of beer that they can drink as a wedding party, don't fit what I want to help be part of. it's not where I'm at. I mean, 20 years ago, that was probably a wedding that I would have had a great time, not that I was drinking or anything, but just to go out there and to be able to perform for a crowd that you could play anything and they're going to think you're God. Those days are over. I'm not interested in that anymore. So I bet it happens at least 8 to 10 times a year. I go to meetings and I come back and Lori's like, well, how did the meeting go? It's like, it's not a good fit, even though they're like, hey, and how much in contracts and can we give you the retainer today? And it's like, I don't think we're going to, it's going to work out that we're going to be a fit and that I can give you what you guys need for the night. Uncomfortable meetings is right, Dave. Very uncomfortable. Any last thoughts? We have gone through 10 topics. Go ahead.
The one wedding that I really, really enjoyed, but almost came to a very quick halt, was within inches of dumping a beer into my controller, my brand new Newmart NV controller. Great couple. One of the groomsmen was just sloshing around with the beer, and I literally physically snatched it out of his hand because I saw it. It was just, you hear it hovering right over my controller. And I just grabbed it. And why'd you take my beer? I'm like, so you can drink it over here. Enjoy. Have a good day.
Somewhere else, somewhere safe. So
yeah, and by then my assistant came over and kind of redirected him. He was off to the little boys' room, and whew, brand new controller. It would have hit.
I think I might have cried. I think I might have cried if something like that happened. It's like, oh no, I just paid a gazillion dollars for it. Well, gang, let's wrap things up. We've got about a minute left. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining us tonight. This was kind of a fun little exercise, zipping through a lot of topics. Thank you for those of you out there watching. Chat room was great. You guys had some great thoughts and sharing and asking questions and things. We just appreciate you being part of tonight's show, and hopefully we gave you guys some thoughts and good information here on a cold Saturday night in February.
Yeah, right.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John Young with the Disc Jockey News. Everyone just got to give your name and where you're from quick, and then that'll wrap us up. Go, Mitch.
Mitch Taylor, my mom.
Nice. Or he's from Michigan. Jim, go. Where are you from?
Who, me?
Yes, you.
Oh, okay. Jimmy DePalma, originally Central New York. I've lived in North Carolina for the last 20 years now.
Arturo.
I'm from Palmdale, California. A big fan of ADJ.
Nice. Dave.
Nice plug.
Dave Tournier, Special Request Weddings here in Manitoba, Canada.
Anthony.
Anthony Cahill, Nova Scotia.
So we were like a third Canadian tonight. Wow. That's pretty scary. 15 seconds left. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Once again, we do regular programming Monday, Tuesday nights. We'll catch you then. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. Good night.